Okay guys, and welcome to this video about Joel test. We are going to demystify the Joel test. If you don't know what the Joel test is, basically this is a test that has been written by this guy called Joel Spolsky, I believe, and it is actually featured in some of the Stack Overflow jobs if you haven't seen it, to see how teams are performing against Joel's criteria. And I want to go and demystify that today with you. So here we go. This is the first question. Do your team use source control? I mean, come on guys, in 2020, does your team not use source control? I mean, what do you do if you don't have source control? Do you pass code by email or on a zip file? I don't think this is really relevant anymore. I cannot remember any company that did not have source control. The second question is, can you make a build in one step? This one I think is also a bit dated, because maybe it refers to those times where you had to have several steps and build a script to actually compile your application, link it together, all the source files together, etc. But these days, for example, if you think about Java, there are tools like Maven or Gradle or even Ant if you are a bit antiquated, that actually do that for you, and you don't really need to build extensive script on top of these tools. Because to be honest, when you start writing too much custom script that abstract your tools, basically you lose those transferable skills. Imagine about Docker. Why would you build a script on top of Docker that basically use Docker underneath? Docker is a transferable skill. Why wouldn't you just learn those commands? Doesn't make sense to me. So the next question is, do you make daily builds? Okay, this is better. I mean, yes, you should be making daily builds, especially if you have continuous integration, continuous delivery pipelines, and these sort of things in place. This is actually valuable. I think there's not much to add to it. Do you have a bug database? A bug database to track bugs? To be honest, these days, pretty much everyone has a tracking system for bugs. At least it could be Jira or even GitHub issues or even just Trello cards on a bug list column. That will do. And something that instead I would ask is, do you have a process to approach bugs? How do you do that? Not even how do you do that. Do you have a process? That would answer a lot of questions, because yeah, you can record as many bugs as you want, but if you don't have a process in place, what's the point? Next question is, do you fix bugs before writing new code? This is very valid. There is a lot to expand upon, because you would think, do you rush into fixing bugs to create other bugs, or maybe do you take a step back and maybe you have a triage process to look into those sort of bugs and think, are those related? Is this possibly a story that could be created or a feature that we could deliver to the system? Do you have an up-to-date schedule? So by up-to-date schedule, I'm not really sure what it means, but I am under the impression that maybe he's talking about a timeline for the project, or a sort of plan for delivering the project. And yes, I would hope you have one. Otherwise, I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be great. It would be enjoyable for developers to just deliver features against no schedule at all. And the next question is, do you have a spec? By spec, probably I think it means a specification document. And this is something I was talking about with a colleague earlier on. If you don't have a specification document, or at least something that the client has signed off and agreed upon, there are a lot of problems that arise later on when the client is going to say, oh, actually, I did tell you that I wanted this feature, but you didn't deliver it. So you probably want to have some sort of agreement in writing, and I think this is what he means by spec, but I could be wrong. Okay, this one is, do programmers have quiet working conditions? I have quite a bit to say about this one, to be honest. I would say I don't need quiet working condition. I strive in chaos. I want to be in the chaos, because being in chaotic situations help me to be able to concentrate anywhere, everywhere, at home with the children screaming around, in the office, in an open plan where someone is laughing at the end, someone else is talking at my back. That is a skill. That is something that you would want, not something that you want to avoid. Additionally, I think we need to stop about this morning about developers. They have to be, oh, they're quiet in the zone. Okay, yes, sometimes I really need to have some peace and quiet, and I managed to find some peace and quiet because I'm like, guys, I want to finish this feature. I want to finish this task I'm working on. Leave me alone for a bit, and this is perfectly fine. But most of the time, really, you don't want to know. No one talk to the developers. Don't touch them. No, this is the wrong attitude. We want to encourage collaboration. We want to encourage communication. This is the most important part of actually being in the office. Otherwise, if we are all sitting quietly in the office, what is the point in being there? I would just rather be at home at that stage. So the next question is, do your team have the best tools money can buy? I kind of understand this question. I don't think necessarily you need to go all in. To be honest, you can build software basically on anything. I do require a minimum, for example, of, I don't know, 16 gigabyte of RAM and SSD. And I do remember a company that I was begging for an SSD because the build was taking so long, and they said it wouldn't make much difference, but I was pretty sure it would have done a lot of difference. And yes, sometimes you have to spend a little bit of money, not necessarily go all in and spend loads of cash in the shiny new tech. But talking about tech and tools, you want to check out maybe my video that I've done about Linux laptops for software developers. Check it out. So the next question is, do you have testers? If you don't have testers, it means your developers will have to test the application, which is not great, but it can be done. And I've been in a situation where we did not have testers, we only had users testing the applications, and basically the developers were writing automation tests as well as unit tests, because we were testing each other's code, each other's feature, and we were questioning it. And it was fine. I appreciate that will not oversee the presence of an actual tester that does that for a job, or even a quality engineer. Talking about quality engineers, we have a video about software quality. You want to check it out. I think the question for me would be, do you have automation tests? If you don't have automation tests, or at least unit tests running as part of your pipeline, I wouldn't be confident to do any change on that kind of system. Do new candidates write code during interviews? I mean, come on, guys. What do you think I've been doing for the past 10 years or more? I mean, what I would ask you is, how do you work with others? How do you work with a team? How do you approach taking on a task? These kind of questions are even more important than, can you write code? Of course I can. That doesn't really mean that I'm going to be a good fit for your team. And here on to the final question, do you have hallway usability testing? It is quite interesting, hallway usability testing. It is really interesting, and I think it's a valid question, but honestly I don't know anyone or any project I've been that does that. Hallway usability testing, it kind of involves you just grab anyone on the hallway, you say, oh, what do you think of this system? I think it's great. I think that's definitely something that everyone should do. But yeah, it's not something I would have as a tick box to verify the quality of a software team. And that's all for this video. If you have any comment or you disagree with my opinion, let me know in the comments below, and maybe we can see what is your interpretation of the Joel test. Maybe I misunderstood it. Maybe I just didn't understand. But for me, it seemed a bit dated. And maybe we can write together a new test. What do you think? What would your question be? Let me know, and remember to subscribe to my channel and like this video. That supports me really to carry on to do these kind of videos that I enjoy very much. See you next time.